for you. And, there's a time and a place for everything.
Stephanie McMahon has always been portrayed as a bit controversial, but this takes things to a whole new level. A shocking new clip is going viral, allegedly showing her getting way too close to a fellow WWE star. Now fans are asking, is this just another scripted moment or something dangerously real? With rumors exploding and the footage spreading like wildfire, this might be the scandal that rocks the WWE to its core. Let's break it down. Stephanie McMahon's on-screen romances and career controversies. First things first, Stephanie McMahon is literally wrestling royalty. As the daughter of Vince McMahon, she was born into the business and started working with WWE when she was just 13 years old. Talk about nepotism goals, am I right? But for real, she was modeling merchandise for catalogs as a teenager and then became a full-time employee after getting her communications degree from Boston University in 1998. Now, if you've been around wrestling for any amount of time, you know that WWE is basically a soap opera with body slams, and Stephanie has been involved in some of the most iconic storylines in WWE history, especially when it comes to on-screen romances. Let's rewind to 1999, when Stephanie was in an on-screen relationship with Test, played by Andrew Martin. This storyline was fire. They were engaged on the show, and it led to this epic love her or leave her match at SummerSlam, where Test had to defeat Shane McMahon to get his blessing for the engagement. Talk about family drama. Test won, and they planned this huge wedding ceremony on Raw, but in classic WWE fashion, the wedding was interrupted in the most dramatic way possible. Triple H, who at this point was just another wrestler in the storyline, crashed the ceremony and revealed that he had already married Stephanie in Las Vegas while she was supposedly drugged. I mean, by today's standards, this storyline would never fly, but back in the Attitude Era, this was peak entertainment.
I don't.
And watch him beat the pants off Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I don't speak Romanian. I don't know.
You're guaranteed to be entertained.
That moment kicked off what became known as the McMahon-Helmsley era, where Stephanie and Triple H became this villainous power couple on screen. But here's where it gets interesting. This on-screen romance actually blossomed into a real-life relationship. But before we get to that real-life romance, let's not forget about another major on-screen relationship Stephanie had with none other than Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle in 2000. This storyline involved a love triangle with Triple H, creating this super awkward but entertaining dynamic where Kurt and Stephanie shared an on-screen kiss. The drama, the romance, the betrayal. WWE was serving up the content we all craved.
I'm a villain. I play a villain on the show just to set the stage.
But you're not a real villain.
No, I hope not.
Yeah,
because my character is really hateful. If you watch our show, like really hateful.
Now let's address the elephant in the room. Over the years, there have been some wild rumors circulating about Stephanie McMahon's personal life, particularly regarding alleged affairs with various WWE personalities. One of the most persistent rumors involves Macho Man Randy Savage. This rumor, which reportedly started on an online message board in 2004, suggests that Savage had a relationship with Stephanie when she was around 18 years old, back in 1994. This rumor gained traction when Savage's ex-girlfriend, Stephanie Bellers, made some vague statements in interviews, suggesting that Savage had admitted to everything while under the influence. According to Essentially Sports, Bellers never specified exactly what everything meant, leaving it open to interpretation. Other wrestlers like Hardcore Holly and Dutch Mantell have hinted at supporting the rumor, but again, without providing any concrete evidence. However, longtime WWE producer Bruce Pritchard has directly addressed this rumor on his podcast, Something to Wrestle With, stating that he does not believe it to be true. What's particularly telling is that WWE was in negotiations with Savage for a return in 1996, which seems unlikely if there had been such a serious personal issue. Additionally, discussions about inducting Savage into the WWE Hall of Fame began as early as 2010, 4 years before his posthumous induction in 2015. Speaking of Bruce Pritchard, he's also been the subject of rumors involving Stephanie. This particular rumor stemmed from a comment made by Jerry Lawler during a 2001 radio interview, where Lawler allegedly suggested that Pritchard had been intimate with Stephanie. Pritchard has vehemently denied this rumor on his podcast, calling it not true, and explaining that Lawler made the comment during a period when he was angry with WWE after being let go. Before her relationship with Triple H, Stephanie did have some confirmed real-life relationships outside of the wrestling world. She reportedly dated someone from her high school, though details about this relationship remain private. She also had a relationship with a baseball player during the late 1990s to early 2000s, which coincided with the early stages of her on-screen storyline with Triple H. Let's talk about Stephanie's career trajectory, because this woman is way more than just someone's wife or daughter. She climbed the corporate ladder within WWE, starting as an account executive and eventually becoming head writer by by November 2000, Director of Creative Writing by 2002, Senior Vice President of Creative Writing in 2006, and Executive Vice President of Creative in 2007. That's what we call a boss move. Then from 2013 to 2022, she served as the Chief Brand Officer of WWE, overseeing the company's brand strategy. And when controversy struck in 2022 with allegations against her father, Stephanie stepped up as interim CEO and chairwoman on June 17, 2022, and was later named co-CEO alongside Nick Khan on July 22, 2022. Talk about breaking glass ceilings, but her time as CEO was short-lived. In January 2023, she resigned from these roles following her father's return to the company. The timing of this resignation is pretty interesting, given that it coincided with some major controversies surrounding her father. Speaking of controversies, let's get into some of the more problematic aspects of Stephanie's career, because WWE hasn't always been the most politically correct entertainment company, to put it mildly. One of the most notorious storylines occurred in the summer of 2003, involving Stephanie, her father Vince McMahon, and wrestler Sable. This storyline included a segment on SmackDown where John Cena requested Stephanie rip Sable's top off and slap her buttocks. I mean, yikes. The storyline culminated in an I Quit match between Stephanie and her own father at No Mercy. If that sounds wildly inappropriate, that's because it absolutely was. This kind of content would never make it to air today, but it was unfortunately part of WWE's approach during that era. Fast forward to 2023, and Stephanie's resignation came amid what's now known as the Vince McMahon sex trafficking scandal. The lawsuit mentioned Stephanie as corporate officer #3 in an ambiguous context. While the details of her involvement remain unclear, the timing of her departure raised eyebrows across the wrestling community. But wait, it gets even more disturbing. In 2024, Netflix released a documentary called Mr. McMahon that revealed some truly shocking behind-the-scenes drama. In the documentary, Stephanie revealed that Vince had approached her about a storyline where he would be the father of her baby while she was pregnant on screen. She described this idea as completely disgusting and refused to participate, marking only the second time she said no to her father. She also mentioned another rejected idea involving her brother Shane as the father. I mean, what in the Jerry Springer was going on in those creative? Despite these controversies, Stephanie has also been a force for positive change in WWE. She has been involved in numerous charitable initiatives, including Connor's Cure, a fund dedicated to pediatric cancer research. As she explained in an interview, this kind of work represents the greatest part of what she does, showcasing a side of her that exists beyond the villainous character she portrays on TV. As of 2025, Stephanie has moved on from her executive role at WWE and hosts Stephanie's Places on ESPN+, a talk show where she interviews WWE wrestlers about their journeys into the industry. It's a new chapter for her, allowing her to remain connected to the wrestling world while pursuing her own projects. Now let's address one major controversy that's often overlooked. There's been this persistent rumor that Triple H was still with China when he started dating Stephanie, which obviously caused a ton of drama backstage.
Well, let me ask you, you said at one point that Triple H hit you and he said he didn't. Did you say that before or after the facts? Like, were you saying that before you left wrestling, and maybe was that one of the reasons? Like, oh, she's stirring up too much trouble, or did you allow that to be known after?
No, I just recently let that be known because
okay.
you know, the reality of it was that I had a great relationship with Hunter. I was in love with him very much, you know, and near the end of the relationship, you know, when I didn't know that they were having this year affair going on, you know. It was troubled. It was troubled at work, and it was troubled in our personal relationship. So, you know, I didn't know what was going on. I was just sticking by my man, you know. But when it all was said and done, when they let me go, I decided at that moment that I was in a serious situation, and that the fans weren't going to know what was going on, and that I couldn't go out there like. Well, I wasn't capable mentally to go out there and fight.
In an interview, Chyna claimed that she found evidence of Triple H and Stephanie's relationship while they were still together. She said she found a love note from Stephanie in Triple H's briefcase, dated about a year before their relationship ended. This revelation obviously caused major hurt and led to significant fallout, with Chyna eventually leaving WWE under uncomfortable circumstances. Let's take you into Stephanie and Triple H's actual relationship, how they met, how they fell in love, and how they've built one of wrestling's most powerful partnerships. The real-life romance with Triple H. Their relationship began during that infamous storyline we talked about earlier, where Triple H interrupted Stephanie's on-screen wedding to test by revealing they were already married in Las Vegas. What started as fiction in 1999 evolved into reality around 2000, making this one of the most successful workplace romances in entertainment history. But hold up, this relationship didn't exactly get the red carpet treatment from day one. Stephanie's father, Vince McMahon, initially opposed their relationship. I mean, can you imagine dating the boss's daughter while also being one of the company's biggest stars? Talk about complicated workplace dynamics. Vince was concerned about tensions backstage and the perception of favoritism, which, let's be honest, was probably valid considering the cutthroat nature of the wrestling business.
How did he take it when you told him that you were dating Triple H?
Well, I feel like he kind of threw us together a little bit, honestly, because...
The master manipulator strikes again?
He does, yes, he does. But, you know, he used to always make comments to me about, God, you need a guy that's, you know, just like Triple H. And then Shane would quickly jump in and say,
no.
Ironically, in an interview, Stephanie claimed that Vince had actually made comments about her needing a guy just like Triple H before they started dating. Her brother Shane would apparently jump in to say no, not Triple H specifically, and Vince would clarify he meant someone with Triple H's qualities. Sounds like some classic family dynamics playing out there, but the plot thickens. According to Stephanie, Vince initially seemed okay with their relationship, but then dramatically changed his mind. In her words, we started dating and then he took away that blessing. When asked what this meant, she compared their situation to Romeo and Juliet, saying they were forbidden to see each other. Now that's some Shakespearean drama worthy of a WWE storyline.
But what happened was we started dating, and then he took away that blessing.
In what way?
We were not allowed to see each other anymore.
Like Romeo and Juliet, you are forbidden to see this man.
Yep.
It wasn't just Vince who had reservations. Shane McMahon, Stephanie's brother, also expressed discomfort over her relationship with Triple H. In an interview with WWE Hall of Famer Mick Foley on the Tell All podcast, Shane revealed he was initially kept in the dark about their romance. He mentioned that he was uncomfortable with the blending of office and talent roles, reflecting old-school WWE norms, where dating the boss's daughter was definitely frowned upon. Family business drama, am I right? Despite all these obstacles, love conquered all. Stephanie and Triple H got engaged on Valentine's Day 2003. Talk about romantic. And they tied the knot on October 25th, 2003 in Sleepy Hollow, New York. The ceremony was a Catholic service at St. Teresa of Avila Church, and afterward, Stephanie legally changed her middle name to McMahon, showing her commitment to preserving her family legacy even in marriage. We love to see a woman keeping her identity. Their family quickly grew, and they now have 3 daughters: Aurora Rose, born 2006, Murphy Claire, born 2008, and Vaughn Evelyn, born 2010. The eldest, Aurora, is now a college softball player at Springfield College, but hasn't ruled out following in her parents' footsteps with a wrestling career. Triple H has mentioned that he's supportive of whatever path his daughters choose, which is exactly what you'd expect from a modern wrestling dad. What's particularly fascinating about Stephanie and Triple H's relationship is how they've managed to balance their personal and professional lives. In the wrestling business, where the lines between reality and fiction are constantly blurred, they've had to navigate being both real-life partners and on-screen characters. In 2009, about 6 years after their real-life marriage, WWE finally acknowledged their real relationship on television. This led to the formation of The Authority, a villainous power couple that dominated WWE storylines for years. Talk about bringing your work home with you.
And obviously, I saw the press conference earlier today. Obviously, you play off each other so well. The chemistry is obviously still there.
It's almost like we live together.
Exactly. What keeps the fire burning?
Ooh, I don't know if we can answer that one publicly.
When asked in interviews about what keeps their relationship strong after all these years, they often joke around. In one interview, when asked what keeps the fire burning, Triple H quipped, "A big log keeps the fire burning," showcasing their playful dynamic and comfort with each other. It's clear they share not just love, but also a sense of humor about their very public relationship. Their partnership has faced its share of challenges beyond just workplace dynamics. In September 2021, Triple H dealt with a serious health scare when he developed viral pneumonia. Stephanie reportedly urged him to seek medical attention, showing how they support each other through thick and thin. This crisis eventually led to Triple H announcing his in-ring retirement, marking a significant transition in both their careers. Speaking of careers, their professional collaborations have been just as impressive as their personal relationship. As leaders within WWE, they've helped shape the company's direction over the past 2 decades. Triple H particularly made his mark with NXT, WWE's developmental brand, transforming it from a simple training ground to a critically acclaimed show with its own passionate fan base.
There's no scariness to it.
Of course there is.
He's gonna get bloody, and maybe you'll get bloody.
It's funny. She knows me so well that she sees the smallest little things in there, and when I come back, she'll be like, "Then this happened." I'm like, "Yeah, it's." She knows all the little intricacies of everything we do, and knows me so well that she can see it, whether I'm hurt, not hurt, in a bad way or not in a bad way. So she'll be watching almost more intently than anybody.
And granted that you win, Monday is the road to WrestleMania 30.
That's correct.
In interviews, Triple H has spoken about how Stephanie watches his matches with incredible attention to detail. He once said, "She knows me so well that she sees the smallest little things. She knows all the little intricacies of everything we do, and knows me so well that she can see it, whether I'm hurt, not hurt, in a bad way, or not in a bad way." That level of understanding and support is truly relationship goals. Now let's talk about some tea that's often overlooked. Before Stephanie and Triple H got together, they were both seeing other people. We already mentioned China's perspective, but what about Stephanie? Before Triple H, she reportedly dated someone from her high school, though details about this relationship remain private. She was also rumored to be dating a baseball player. During the early stages of her on-screen storyline with Triple H, adding another layer to their already complicated beginning. As for Triple H, his relationship with China, Joni Laurer, was very public within the wrestling world. They were not only romantic partners, but also on-screen allies as members of D-Generation X. When Triple H and Stephanie began their relationship, it created significant backstage drama, with China eventually leaving WWE under contentious circumstances. What's particularly interesting is how differently Triple H and Stephanie present themselves on screen versus in real life. While they portrayed villainous, power-hungry tyrants as the Authority, their off-screen personas tell a different story. They've been heavily involved in charitable work, with Stephanie in particular championing causes like Connor's cure for pediatric cancer research. This duality is something Stephanie herself has acknowledged. In interviews, she's talked about the stark contrast between hugging sick children at hospital visits during the day and then portraying her villainous character at night. It's a reminder that in the world of professional wrestling, the line between character and performer is often deliberately blurred, but ultimately separate.
There was actually a good friend of mine who had a business associate with him and said, Is that the same woman who was like hugging the children earlier?
They let her near the little children?
So it's some people get confused a little bit, but for the most part, our fans get that we're entertainment. We're no different than a movie
it's a
or a television
performance.
show.
The longevity of their relationship is particularly impressive considering the demands of the wrestling business. Between grueling travel schedules, physical toll, public scrutiny, and the general chaos of the entertainment industry, many wrestling relationships don't survive. But Stephanie and Triple H have not only endured, they've thrived. In an August 2022 interview on the Impulsive podcast, Triple H suggested that their on-screen dry run as a couple actually helped solidify their real-life bond. Working together in such intense storylines gave them unique insights into each other's personalities and work ethics before they committed to a real relationship. In a weird way, WWE's fictional storytelling laid the groundwork for one of wrestling's most successful real-life marriages. Their relationship also represents a fascinating bridge between different eras of WWE. Stephanie is a fourth-generation wrestling promoter with deep ties to the industry's past through her family legacy. Triple H, meanwhile, has been instrumental in shaping WWE's future, particularly through his work developing new talent. Together, they embody both wrestling tradition and innovation. As of 2025, with Stephanie hosting Stephanie's Places on ESPN+ and Triple H continuing his executive role in WWE, they remain influential figures in the wrestling world, even as their roles evolve. Their partnership has weathered countless storms, from family disapproval to corporate shakeups to health scares, emerging stronger each time. Let's go deeper into the controversies, challenges, and lasting impact of this power couple on the wrestling industry. The power couple's impact and legacy. When we talk about power couples in entertainment, Stephanie McMahon and Triple H are right up there with the best of them. They're not just a successful married couple. They fundamentally shaped one of the biggest entertainment companies in the world. Let's break down how they've wielded their influence over the years. First, let's talk about their on-screen personas. As the Authority, Stephanie and Triple H created some of the most memorable villainous characters of the modern WWE era. Their ability to generate genuine heat from the audience made them the perfect foils for fan favorites like Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, and Roman Reigns. That whole best for business catchphrase became iconic, even though we all knew that what they really meant was best for the Authority.
I abuse my authority at every possible turn because I am the boss's daughter, but I also play the boss's daughter.
Exactly.
Which is a good point, right? Because you were born into this industry.
Stephanie has always been remarkably self-aware about her character, acknowledging in interviews that she plays a villain who abuses her authority at every possible turn because I am the boss's daughter. That meta-commentary on her real-life position added an extra layer to her character that resonated with fans who appreciated the blurred lines between reality and fiction. In real life, their influence behind the scenes has been even more significant. Triple H revolutionized WWE's developmental system by transforming NXT from a reality competition show into a critically acclaimed wrestling brand that many fans preferred to WWE's main roster programming. Under his leadership, NXT became known for its emphasis on in-ring performance and long-term storytelling, drawing influence from independent wrestling and international styles that weren't typically featured in mainstream WWE. Meanwhile, Stephanie's work as Chief Brand Officer from 2013 to 2022 helped WWE expand its global reach. She was instrumental in the company's partnerships with major brands, charities, and media outlets. Her business acumen complemented Triple H's creative vision, making them a formidable team both on screen and off. One of their most important contributions has been their advocacy for women's wrestling. Under their influence, WWE transformed its approach to female performers, moving away from the problematic divas era of brief matches and appearance-focused gimmicks to the women's evolution that put emphasis on athletic competition and meaningful storylines. In fact, in a 2016 interview with ESPN, Stephanie explicitly stated that she and Triple H were pushing for women to be treated equally to men in WWE, saying, "Paul, Triple H, and I both feel women should have the same opportunities and be showcased in the same light as the men." This progressive stance represented a major shift for a company that had historically treated women's wrestling as an afterthought. Their commitment to evolving WWE's approach extends beyond just women's wrestling. They've both been advocates for a more inclusive and diverse WWE, featuring performers from different backgrounds, body types, and wrestling styles. This has helped WWE stay relevant in a changing cultural landscape where audiences demand more authentic representation. Of course, no power couple's journey is without its challenges and controversies. One of the biggest criticisms they've faced is the perception of nepotism, with detractors arguing that their positions of power are primarily due to their family connections rather than merit. This is particularly true for Stephanie, who has been part of WWE since childhood due to her father's ownership.
When they let you go, you still had heat and all that.
Well, it was literally pulled the rug out from underneath me because I went from this billion-dollar commodity, right?
Mm-hmm.
In this business, just on the street, nothing. And wasn't like I was making what the guys were making. I had this future and I was set. I still had to work and I was still under contract and they were giving me trouble with the name and the likeness and
what was
not
the reason?
To mention just the pain of everything.
No, we'll get there. But what was the reason they gave you that, they let you go?
They never gave me a reason.
Another controversy was the fallout with Chyna, which we touched on earlier. Chyna's departure from WWE and subsequent struggles cast a shadow over Triple H and Stephanie's early relationship. In interviews, Chyna claimed that she was essentially pushed out of WWE when her relationship with Triple H ended, saying, "They never gave me a reason for her release." The way this situation was handled raised questions about power dynamics and ethics in workplace relationships, especially when one partner, Stephanie, is the daughter of the company owner. Despite these controversies, it's undeniable that Stephanie and Triple H have brought positive changes to WWE. Their behind-the-scenes leadership helped transition the company from the edgier Attitude Era to a more polished, corporate, family-friendly product that could attract mainstream sponsors and global audiences. In a Gamer Hub TV interview, Stephanie highlighted WWE's global reach, noting they're in 145 countries and 30 different languages and reach about 650 million households worldwide. But more importantly, she emphasized how they use all of that power to give back to the community. This philanthropic focus has been a hallmark of their leadership style. What's particularly interesting about their relationship is how they've managed to maintain a relatively private family life despite being such public figures. They've raised their 3 daughters largely away from the spotlight, with Triple H mentioning in interviews that he wanted to be present for his children despite WWE's demanding schedule. This balance of public and private life demonstrates a maturity that isn't always associated with the wrestling business. Speaking of balancing work and personal life, their relationship has faced unique challenges due to the physical demands of Triple H's in-ring career. Stephanie has often discussed watching his matches with intense focus, able to tell when he was legitimately injured versus selling for the show. Triple H explained in an interview how Stephanie watches his matches with exceptional attention to detail, saying, "She knows me so well that she sees the smallest little things. She knows all the little intricacies of everything we do and knows me so well that she can see it, whether I'm hurt, not hurt, in a bad way or not in a bad way." This level of connection and understanding speaks to the strength of their bond after more than 2 decades together. Their relationship has endured through major transitions in both their careers. When Triple H retired from in-ring competition following his health scare in 2021, it marked the end of an era for WWE. Similarly, when Stephanie resigned from her executive positions in January 2023, it represented a significant shift in WWE's corporate structure. Her resignation came at a particularly tumultuous time for WWE, coinciding with her father Vince McMahon's return to the company amid a sex trafficking scandal. While the details of Stephanie's departure remain somewhat mysterious, the timing suggests it may have been related to her disagreement with her father's return or the direction the company was taking. The couple has navigated numerous family conflicts as well. Shane McMahon, Stephanie's brother, expressed discomfort over her relationship with Triple H, citing traditional separations between office and talent. This tension within the McMahon family added another layer of complexity to their relationship, forcing them to balance family loyalty with personal happiness. One thing is certain, Stephanie McMahon and Triple H have forever changed the landscape of professional wrestling. From their on-screen performances to their behind-the-scenes leadership, they've helped transform WWE from a wrestling company to a global entertainment powerhouse. Their personal love story, which began as a fictional storyline, has become one of the most successful and influential relationships in the history of sports entertainment. That's a wrap. What are your thoughts on Stephanie McMahon's romances? Share them in the comments and click on the cards on screen for more stories.